What if I told you that the terrifying scream of the banshee isn't just a death sentence, but a somber mark of ancient nobility? Before she was a monster in horror movies, her story was tied to the divine, and her cry was a lament reserved for the great families of Ireland. This is the story that was lost to time and fear, the terrifying omen. When you think of the banshee, you probably picture a screaming hag, a terrifying omen whose shriek means someone is about to die. She's the star of 1,000 horror stories. But the truth is, nobody can agree on what she looks like. Sometimes she's a young, beautiful woman. Other times a stately matron or a shrouded old crone with eyes red from centuries of weeping. She might be seen in a gray cloak, combing her long silver hair, or as a fleeting shadow. Oh, that frightening image isn't entirely wrong. Just a shadow of a much grander, more powerful story that has been twisted over the centuries. Woman of the Fairy Mound. To find the real banshee, we have to rewind past the ghost stories and into the age of myth. Her name comes from the old Irish bean Cid, meaning woman of the fairy mound. These mounds, or Cid, dot the Irish landscape and were believed to be portals to the other world. The bean Cid wasn't just any ghost. Many believe she is a remnant of a divine race of beings known as the Tuatha Dé Danann. These weren't just spirits. The Tuatha Dé Danann were considered the original gods of Ireland, masters of magic, who were said to have arrived in a cloud of mist. After a great war, they were defeated by a mortal army, the Milesians, and forced to retreat into the earth. Their kingdoms hidden inside those very fairy mounds. From then on, the gods became the people of the hills. And it's from these powerful, otherworldly beings that the legend of the Banshee, the fairy woman, springs. The birth of the wail. But where did her famous cry come from? One of the most powerful myths about this supernatural grief is tied to the goddess Brigid, revered member of the Tuatha Dé Danann. When her son Ruadan was killed in battle, Brigid wept over his body with a cry so full of sorrow. It was said to be the first of its kind ever heard in Ireland, a lament and a shriek all in one. This story forever linked divine female power with ritual mourning. The banshee's cry is seen as a supernatural echo of this tradition, not a malicious curse. For centuries, this practice was mirrored in the real world by keening women, professional mourners paid to wail at funerals, a vital part of Irish grieving rituals. In a way, the banshee was the ultimate keener, a supernatural mourner whose presence was a profound, if terrifying, honor. From honor to horror, so, if she was a figure of supernatural importance, what happened? Why did she become a monster? Well, as Ireland changed, so did her story. With the spread of Christianity, the old pagan gods and traditions were either absorbed as saints or demoted to demonic figures. The raw, emotional power of keening was frowned upon by the church, which saw it as a wild pagan practice. Slowly, the professional keening women became outsiders, and the banshee's story was rewritten. She was no longer a fairy woman connected to the gods, but a tormented ghost or a sinner. English colonizers further demonized the passionate Irish custom of keening, painting it as primitive howling. Her story wasn't banned in a day, but it was suppressed and overshadowed, replaced by a much simpler, scarier tale. The weeping, a mark of nobility. But even in this diminished form, the banshee legend held onto a secret. She does not cry for just anyone. Her wail is traditionally reserved for the descendants of Ireland's old, noble Gaelic families. Her cry is a sign that a person's bloodline runs deep into Irish history. While some tales say she only weeps for those with Y or Mac prefixes, the truth is more complex, with different accounts naming various ancient families like the O'Neills, O'Briens, O'Connors, Kavanaghs, and O'Grady's. The key is that her cry is a mark of ancient Irish lineage. Even if a family member dies far from home, the banshee is often said to return to their ancestral lands, wailing there to tie the soul back to its Irish roots. To hear her cry isn't to be cursed, but to be acknowledged as a true child of an ancient and noble line. The story of the banshee is a lot like the story of Ireland itself, a powerful ancient tradition that was suppressed. It's misunderstood and twisted into something monstrous. But she isn't a monster. She is a messenger from the other world, a guardian of ancestral memory and a genealogist of the soul. Her cry, echoing through the night, is not a threat. but a lament for the passing of a noble spirit. It's a haunting reminder that even when history is rewritten, the oldest truths never truly die. So, what other mythological figures do you think have been misunderstood? Are there any legends from your own family history that have been passed down through generations? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want to uncover more lost histories, make sure to subscribe.